Okay, everybody, here it is. Can you imagine what it's like to do what you love and love what you do? Well, I've got a special guest, Arica Kirby, and she's going to share her entrepreneur journey as she started off being a bartender to bar owner to photographer, now to an in focus accelerated coach. So, welcome to the show, Arica.
Hello, thanks for having me.
I am so excited to have you because I'm fascinated about your journey and what some of the things you've been able to accomplish in your life. And I think those of viewers who are out there that are wanting to take their business to the next level, their life to the next level, and really the time we're in right now, I think a lot of people, since we've been dealing with this whole quarantine situation and COVID, a lot of people are doing self-reflection and seeing about what their life is going to be like over the next 5, 10, 20, or 30 years, or just the remainder of their life. And so I don't know about everyone out there, but I'm telling you, because I'm so purpose driven, this has made it even the more so to make sure that I'm living my life on purpose, in purpose, and making an impact. So I got to ask you, Arica, how did you get started? What happened? Tell me the deal.
Okay, so becoming a bar owner, right?
Mm-hmm.
That was something that really, I would say, kind of happened accidentally, but it's always been part of who I am as far as that entrepreneurial brain. When I first went to college, I started doing pop-up dress sales because I thought that was what I wanted to do for the rest of my life, to run this bridal shop kind of a thing. And then when I was in college, doing different jobs and, learning new skills, I just kind of kept trying different things. And I was bartending, and literally we took a wrong turn home one night, my husband and I did, and drove up to this bar. And so we went in, and as we were driving home that night, he's like, "We should own a bar." And I'm like, "What?" And then that conversation just kept happening. And we bought a bar. I don't know. So it was kind of a crazy journey, but lots of different things happened. And while we had the bar,
Mm-hmm.
I was fortunate enough to be able to use some of my time to do my hobby of photography and build my hobby, which became really a paid hobby that transferred into a side hustle. And then eventually when we sold the bar, I went from the side hustle to full-time photographer, which I've been doing now for 5.5 years.
5.5 years. So let me get this straight. You and hubby meet, and by the way, just tell us a little bit about your background. I know you're married with children. You're from Minnesota. What part of Minnesota?
So I live in northern Minnesota in Bemidji. I was raised in Wisconsin and then moved to Bemidji. Met my husband here, and he said he wasn't moving south, and I said I wasn't moving north, so we stayed.
Oh my gosh. And I've been to Minnesota before, in one of those cities that has that name that I don't know how to pronounce, kind of like your city. I've been in different parts of Minnesota, but there are some that have those long, incredible names that, like I said, how do you pronounce your city again?
Bemidji.
Bemidji. Is that like anywhere near, I don't know, is it St. Cloud, Minnesota, or
Be 3 hours.
St. Paul, or yeah, so it kind of gives me some perspective. But I've been in the Minnesota area. I did a speaking tour there almost a decade ago, and it was really nice, but it was really cold at the same time.
Yeah.
So I can get that. So with that, you got married. You guys you started doing bartending, and out of nowhere, you guys decided to buy a bar. Now, what was that like? What was some from that business and from that experience? What are the life lessons learned as an entrepreneur that you now implement into your new business as a photographer? And then I got to ask you in a moment after you answer that great question, is what made you do the hobby? Was it just something you kind of grew up doing, or somebody suggested? So I want to know what that looks like as well. So do tell about this bartending journey and the life lessons you learned from bartending that you apply to your current business.
Right. So bartending was something that I really, it was just something my husband and I both did. That was our college job, one of them. And so then we were doing that and bought the bar and the lessons. There's a lot of lessons. One of the most important was that we learned how to, that when there's things that you really don't like to do or you're really not good at, it's really important to find somebody else who is and let them do it. So there's certain aspects of our business that we've kind of always farmed out. Well, I shouldn't say we did not always. And that was an expensive lesson to learn. So then we have learned that there's some things that if it's not your skill set, find somebody who really is good at it and hire them to do that for you. So that way you can keep that part of your business going so you can focus on the stuff that you really love. Because like for me, I don't like to do paperwork at all. And so for me, that is where I learned that was something I needed to have somebody who was amazing at it and find somebody that I really clicked with and I really trusted and that they could handle the things that I don't want to handle.
Now, did you do that? Getting tongue twister. Did it take a few months or a few years for you to make that decision? Say, you know what, I don't want to deal with this paperwork anymore. I suck at it. Let me get somebody in here. Or did you do the opposite, which was you realized kind of early on and you said, honey, look, we got to hire somebody because you don't like to do the books and neither do I. And I don't like doing the paperwork. So how did that all come about for you from just a time perspective when the light bulb clicked on and said, you know what, we need to bring somebody on board to handle that?
In our bar business, I handled a lot of it for a lot longer than I would have liked to have in hindsight. But in my photography business, it was something that I was really searching for as soon as I went full time because I just knew that I didn't want to be spending my time doing that. And I'm a lot slower at it, right? So I don't want to be spending my time doing that. That takes away from my clients. It takes away from my studio, from being able to use my creativity and the part that gets me excited. So finding things that other people are good at, whatever that skill set is. For some people, that's marketing, or for some people that is, assistant office work, whatever. But it's really important to find those things. And the other thing, another huge one that I learned was to find people who are good at something that you enjoy, but need to get better at. And figure out how to get better at it. So coaching was something that I didn't realize I was doing when we had the bar. I had joined a couple different MLM or started MLM businesses, right? Multi-level marketing. And I enjoyed those so much because I enjoyed the coaching aspect of it that I was getting. And I didn't realize that for the longest time that was the part that got me so excited about being in that business, was that self-development and self-improvement and all of the skills that I learned for marketing and things that I wasn't otherwise learning, because being a business owner, if you aren't, that goes back to something else I learned, but being a business owner and not knowing what I was, really not having a mentor or anything to get me going, I didn't know to look for business groups that could help me, that could find mentors. So I didn't know to connect like that. We had a few friends that were bar owners as well, but not to the extent of really getting that mentorship from them.
So personal development really was your thing. And I too had experience with working with direct marketing, and I didn't like the selling. What I realized what I really liked was the coaching. Like that was the aspect that I wanted to get into. But usually, they want you to sell really well before they bring you on as coach. So needless to say, I did not do a lot of coaching, but that's what drew me. I like personal development. I like professional development. And when I can marry those two in between and help someone else, because like you, I think you mentioned in one of our previous conversations off screen that you was doing coaching people all along, wasn't realizing it. And I was doing it for years and was not realizing that I was coaching people, because I'm thinking I'm just, we're having conversation. I'm just giving them ideas and concepts and things like that and material and aspects, and not realizing that I was coaching, like I said, for years for people. So good points that you highlighted, about basically getting the people. And I always say, hire your weakness. And it was good that you were able to, yeah, but you came back and said, not only basically hire your weakness, also hire your strength. That's even better than you, because it allows you to do what even you're really better at doing. So, what would you say to those who are in the same situation, kind of like where you are right now, or right where you were, rather, where you decided, enough is enough. Let me go ahead and bite the bullet and make the investment into getting support. Because sometimes people like myself realize, well, until I'm making a certain amount of money, then I'll bring on one or two people. But I'm realizing, no, I need to bring somebody on this year, regardless to what I'm making, because it allows me to really be operable in my genius versus doing stuff that I don't like doing, which is paperwork.
Yeah. Totally. I feel like when I'm trying to think of how to answer that. So really, when I'm trying to think of who it was that wrote the book that I just read. I'm always reading so many books, but they talk about how, like, what you should do is you should hire the coach you can afford until they get you to the level where you can afford the next coach that you can afford. And they talk about, like, you might have this coach you want to work with, but maybe you're not there yet. The other thing is sometimes, like, you just have to invest in yourself. Like, you just have to make that commitment. When it comes to other aspects of our business, we can really quickly justify, whether it's a new camera or a new computer or a new Bobcat or, whatever it is in the business that you need. We can justify that tool, but we forget that we're also a really important part of our business, right? And so we need to invest in ourselves too and make sure that we're becoming the best version of ourselves, because the business continues to evolve. You have to evolve with it and you have to grow with it. Otherwise, you have this business that's grown and you're not really in a place to handle that level of success, or you're not prepared because you didn't know to hire people to do your weakness, or you didn't know, certain things. And so now you're lacking and your business has grown. And then what ends up happening is it kind of falls back in on itself because you don't have the foundations in place to actually grow.
It caves in. Yeah. That's some good stuff. So those of you who are just now tuning in, do me a super, super, super fave. Make sure that you let me know where you're from. Let her know where you're from, and get your questions ready. This is going to be an interactive show tonight. Those of you watching, you already know that you're an entrepreneur. You may be doing the hustle thing, the 9 to 5, or maybe you've already taken the next leap and you're doing it full time, just like my girlfriend here, Arica's doing. But you don't have those pieces in place. So if you're watching live tonight, give some love, show some likes. And I want to say, you got some fans here, my dear. Bam. Booyah. Debbie says, Arica Kirby, you are awesome. And she is. I love it. Thank you. Debbie, where are you from? Let us know where you're what part of the world you're from, in the neck of the woods. Let us know. So let me ask this question here, Arica. Explain to me how you got into photography. Were you always the kid that was taking pictures with the little Polaroids and all the different versions of technology over the years, or what happened? How did you become a photographer?
So that's kind of a multi-layered thing. When I was a kid, I was not the kid always carrying around the camera. But I had a best friend whose mom always had a camera in hand. And as we grew up, there were always all these pictures she had. And I just loved that she always had all these moments, all these memories of us. And we've actually, even now as adults, we've had times where we send each other pictures back and forth through Facebook Messenger, and we're connecting and sharing old pictures. And like, that's a really important piece, because having those memories, having those connections. And then I had a cousin, actually 2 cousins, who they always had this beautiful, like, I can still see it hanging on their wall, 8x10 in their bedroom, every year updated with the most ridiculously gorgeous frilly dresses you've ever seen. And I was always really envious of that. I was always envious of those photos, and I wanted that. And it just wasn't something that my mom felt was in our regular budget. And so it wasn't something that we did. And so I don't know, I grew up always wanting it. So then when I was in middle school and high school, I was always taking pictures, always taking pictures. And I did want to become a photographer. And I was told that that's not a real job and I needed to go to college.
What? Wait a minute. So here it is. You felt your passion. They told you it wasn't a real job.
Yeah.
And you got to go to college. Where have we heard that from? My God, how many times have we heard that from our family members?
Yeah.
God
so,
go ahead.
Yeah. So I was told that I needed to go to college and I needed to get a real job, which, because I did not want to end up flipping burgers the rest of my life and asking if you want fries with that. And then I bought a bar and every day I was flipping burgers and asking, do you want fries with that? So I felt like something went wrong, but no, it was good. And then, so I did always want to do photos. It just wasn't something that was on my path for a while. It was not, it kind of got pushed off to the side. And then it was when my niece was born that I had picked up a new camera and really started photographing her and then other people, a lot of support from people from the bar that we own, a lot of support from there in expanding my photography hobby into a career. And so I was really fortunate because I had a lot of people that believed in me and supported me. And it just kind of kept growing from there. And I knew I wanted to do it, but I had a bar, so I could only do so much. So it wasn't until we sold it that I could really expand.
Okay, so here's the deal. I got to find out in just one moment because I got to acknowledge the audience. But I want to know what made you decide to give up the bar and go for your dream. Hold that thought. Let me welcome the audience back in. Hello, Daphne, and hello, Ravishing Ruby. Thank you for watching. Thank you for joining. Your peeps are in the house. She says, I love you, Bar Arica. Love the service. This must be one of your customers. Love, love, love the Bison burgers. Thank God you said that, Ruby. I had a Bison burger there in that Montana. And it was so delicious. I can still taste it. That's been 20 years ago. So you had the Bison burgers at the place. Is that what you had?
So good.
I wish I knew you did. I wish I would knew you did. A pack of frozen Bison burgers. OMG, my goodness. Thank you for watching, Ruby. And then we have the lovely Marwan. Did I say that? Pronounce that correctly? I hope it did. Thanks for is that Morocco or Morocco? Or how you pronounce that? Morocco. I'm thinking Morocco. Thank you for watching. So if you're watching the replay, do me a super favor. Let me know that you're watching the replay. If you got any questions for Arica, this is a woman who started going to a bar, working at a bar, then bought a bar, and then on the side, she was working on her passion, which is her love for photography, and then decided to sell the bar and go into photography. So let's pick up where you left off. Do tell.
So a lot of deciding to sell the bar was because we had kids and we really did not want to raise our two babies in the bar. And so that was, of course, a big factor. And so we decided they were 3 and 4 when we sold. And so we decided it was time to start something different for our family. And so it just kind of, I don't know. I had been doing pop-up, if that's what you want to call it, right? Pop-up shops for my photography. I was doing powwows in Red Lake, and then I was doing pop-ups in the mall where I would go and photograph. And then when I sold the bar, the pop-up in the mall just kind of became where I landed, and I built a kiosk and worked out of there, and it just kept growing until it got big.
Wow. You were so kind enough to give me a tour recently, virtually, of course, because y'all know what's going on with COVID. And plus, she's in Minnesota and I'm here in Texas. And so you showed me your studio, which I think is super, super cool. I believe you and your husband got that, and then he helped make it what it is today.
Right.
So your business has been growing pretty good since you first started, which that doesn't happen often with most people. Why do you think that was for you?
Well, like we were talking about before the camera came on, right? That resilience that happens in people who are an entrepreneur. My husband and I were talking about that right before I got backstage with you even tonight, about some of the local bars that were commenting about how, they haven't had people in there for 85 days. And I was thinking about how crazy it is, how clever every business has been. These entrepreneurs have put in so much effort and reached out to each other and done so much work to support and to grow. And I really think that just being willing to keep trying is a huge part of it. I started as mainly a wedding photographer because it was something that I could do, here and there, and I could plan for it. Okay. And then as my family grew, I realized I didn't want to be doing weddings all the time. Being pregnant and doing 16 weddings was pretty rough. So
OMG.
I kind of backed out of that after that, and then started doing more studio work, which I just found I really, really loved. And of course, a lot of times those things happen, right? In our lives, we're in one direction with our business, and then different things happen either to us or in the world, and that shifts who we are or what our goals are or our direction. And so then we change, and I focus more on family and babies. And that was when my business really, really grew. But again, it was all how it lined up with selling the bar too. So
wow. So had you not sold the bar, you may not be doing what you're doing today, certainly not full time, and may not even make the transition into working with babies. Like, everybody wants to take a picture with the baby or get the baby, their children's pictures taken. So now that you're doing that, what are some of the things? I know you've added a coaching element to your business, because it seems like you're getting a lot of demands for people wanting to work with you. And what made you decide to do that? Going from just giving free advice, free strategy, information, impartation to clientele.
Part of it comes from I'm a backdrop designer, has another layer of everything I do. And in my backdrop design, I really have connected with so many photographers in so many different places in their business, and had so many conversations and realized how many people, Red Lake is so much fun. I just love it. But they're so beautiful. If you've never been to one, you really do need to put that on your list. They're so beautiful. Wow. I get distracted. So thanks, Ruby. But where was I going? Oh, so I'm backdrop designing and connecting with more photographers and finding all these little things that people don't know, whether they've been in the business for a year or 3 years or 5 years. Sometimes I talk about, so my husband and I spent 3 weeks in Africa, and part of that trip, we were on a safari, photo safari, but we were on a safari, and we were looking for an elephant, right? And this whole group of us, 20 people on a bus, we're all looking for an elephant, and we're trying to find it. We're trying to find it, and nobody can see an elephant, and we're all looking, and all of a sudden it's like right there, right there. We're all looking so hard that we're all looking past it. And when we talk about that, like, that same thing happens in business, that same thing happens in our lives, where we're so focused on something out there that we miss some steps up here. And like, we just can't see those things. And like, somebody else coming into your business can look at you and be like, why haven't you done this? And you're like, I don't know, that's pretty obvious. But you don't know because you're just so focused on something else. And so what happens is I'm talking to all these different photographers and I'm realizing that there's all these little things that I know how to do that could really help them, save them time, save them money, and help get them focused and accelerated back into the right track, because nobody wants to be stuck in that beginning stage for a year or 3 years or 5 years. Like, we want to
Mm-hmm.
be able to be making money and doing what we love and being able to justify that it is a real job. And so, like, we want to get there. And so I realized that I have all these things that could help other people. And so being able to help coach them through some different systems and different methods and being able to really support more people. I've wanted to bring somebody into my studio for so long. And when COVID happened, it was really crazy that I was sitting there one day, and it goes back to that elephant, right? I was sitting here one day at home and I was like, oh my gosh, I have wanted to bring at least one, if not two photographers into my studio to help them grow, because I have all this stuff and I have all these things. Why don't I do that virtually and help somebody else grow virtually? Like, I can help more than one or two people. I can help 20 or 30. And so it was a really huge moment. And so sometimes, like I said, the world changes around us, and then that makes us shift into something different.
Gotcha. Oh, see, that is wonderful. The fact that you're able to recognize that whether I'm ready or not, people are asking. I feel like this is the time to make the shift. And because you've opened up that space, they're attracted to you. They've been attracted to you, but now you're like, this is what I want to do. And putting more out there. So let me just chime in here a little bit to one of your viewers. She says, hey, I can tell you that Arica Kirby has one of the most creative minds. I so believe that. I've seen in person creating new poses. I hope I got that right. New and different backdrops, closet after closet of beautiful attire, accessories. I know she showed me. I was like, OMG, I want to get on a plane. Arica is always creating. She is the best at what she does. I can tell that. And speaking of that creativity, you have added another umbrella, another channel of business with backdrops. So how did you get into these backdrops?
Backdrops, first I found the company just looking for a backdrop, right, for my studio. And then I connected with them, and they were interested in what I had. I don't know. I was wanting to utilize the fact that I was designing backdrops and take sets and taking them down, and then I put them back up, and then I take them back down. And I changed my studio a lot. And when I started, I was 10 feet by 12 feet in this little wooden box in the middle of a mall. Like, I had to have beautiful backdrops because I couldn't have all the props and all of the sets. And so I had to have a beautiful backdrop in order to make my business work. And still, I use beautiful backdrops all the time because they're a smoother, faster transition, and it allows me to offer a lot of variety to my clients. And so with doing backdrops, that was something that just kind of kept it. I don't know, like, I just love it. And I think, when you really pour your heart into things that you love, like, more just comes from it. And so, I didn't have a huge plan when I started designing backdrops. I wanted to design backdrops, and I wanted to help other photographers be able to use backdrops that I was designing, because I know not everybody has the collection I have. Like, I have a Hobby Lobby store in my studio. Like,
You really do.
it feels like.
You really do have a Hobby Lobby store in your studio. So you made the decision to do these backdrops, and people have been asking and inquiring, and that's added additional revenue for what you do. And who knows, maybe you'll get people that want to create backdrops themselves, and you might coach them in that. I mean, that happens.
Mm-hmm.
You're doing it now with photography.
Yeah,
So,
and I design custom backdrops for people who are doing a lot of, like, right now, it's really, everybody's shifting. Even like speakers that were speaking at events are now taking stuff online. And so I'm creating backdrops custom for different people, so that way they can really stand out. And that's also a really fun part of my business. So I really wear a lot of hats all the time, which, like I said, goes back to why it's really important to find people who how did you phrase that? Hire people to do your weakness.
Yeah, hire your weakness.
Hire your weakness. Yeah.
Yes,
Mhm.
absolutely. Well, I love that. So let me just ask this question. What's on the next horizon for you? What's next for Arica? You've got the coaching that you're doing. You've got the photography that you're doing amazing work with and making a difference in growing your business. Now you add this other element on with the backdrop design, which, by the way, I'll be putting in a custom made order. Yeah. So we'll have to talk about that. I want something a little different, a little chic, a little Beverly Hills, a little Paris.
Mhm.
Yes, Paris. Maybe a little Morocco. Let's see what happens. But yeah, so what's on the next horizon for you? What do you see the next step in your business? And are you just enjoying what's here right now, or are there other things on the horizon, like, I don't know, a book, a show? I'm just saying, just let me know.
So I don't know. I love speaking. And so that is something that I hope to someday be able to utilize with my coaching, to be able to do with events for photographers, who knows, maybe more. But that's part of something I'd love to see happen. I don't know about writing a book, as wonderful as that sounds, and I have all kinds of ideas. The idea of sitting down to write a book does not entertain me at all. Like,
Hey, I don't like it either. That's why I just have to speak into something and send
yeah,
off the audio for them to type it up. Because I don't, I just don't. I did that for a living for a while. I don't like typing.
yeah,
Just yeah. Okay,
yeah.
cool.
I don't know. So otherwise, I've always really, really wanted to be super involved with a nonprofit, to do photo work. I just haven't quite figured out where that goes. I've done some with some nonprofits, but I don't know where I'm headed next with it. I just know that it's something that I really want to be able to do. I've been fortunate to be able to photograph a lot of kids in hospitals, and I've really enjoyed creating these magical moments. In the studio, I get to create magical moments for my clients all the time. So finding a way to do that for kids that can't come to me would be really amazing. I live in a more rural-ish kind of an area, so there's not a ton of it right where we are, but I still think it would be really something I'd like to do. Just have to figure out where that's going to go.
Wow, I think that is so honorable to be able to provide children who have either challenges or what some people might consider, less fortunate. I think everyone, every child has value. Every person has value. So the fact that you want to be able to give, some people say give back, but I say give too, because yeah, you may be giving back, but you're giving too. The gifts that you have as a photographer, sharing. I'm sure there's some foundation, some nonprofit, or perhaps even somebody who's well connected that may be able to connect you to people who are looking for what you have with children. I could see something like that with St. Jude's or some of the Shriners, or maybe a different type of different level. But because your heart is into it, I know it's going to happen. So thank you for sharing. Also, I think this Marwan is saying here that I want to challenge directly with you, but I'm thinking he maybe using the word coaching in that phrase. I'm not quite sure. And then there's another comment here for you. Let me make sure that I saw that. Yeah. Okay, Arica, we love to have you come to Red Lake and photograph our new. What? See what I mean? Not sure when we're opening. It's still being built. Oh, wow. Thanks for that generosity there, Ravishing Ruby. What do you think about that? I just said it.
I know, right? Yeah. Yeah, I've
Oh
been
my
very,
gosh.
very lucky, like I said, to have had amazing clients that have come from one business to another and been able to support. And I like to use the hashtag, I have the best clients, but I really do. I really do.
That is wonderful. Well, first of all, thank you for coming on the show. I got to have you back. You got some lifelong lessons there to share. Anything you want to share with the folks of how to get in contact with you, how to stay connected? Those of you who do have a passion for photography and you want to learn from someone else, like, of course, Arica, okay, because she keeps it fun, she keeps it real, and she keeps it in excellence. I've seen it, I'm telling you. So how can I get a hold of you? And then for those of you who are looking for a unique speaker for your next live virtual event, this is who you contact. You contact Arica Kirby on their Facebook connection. So let me put that out. So go ahead and share a little bit more. What do you got going on? What do you got coming up?
So I do have the Photographer CEO business page on Facebook. You can also always find me personally on Facebook. I'm pretty accessible. And then I have obviously my studio page, so Kirby Photography. And then there's a couple different groups. And then I'm designing for Kate Backdrop. So there's that out there. So there's kind of a lot of different directions depending on what it is you're looking for. But I'm just so grateful that you had me on tonight and get to share some of my story and my excitement for what I do, because it really is so rewarding to be able to help people see the passion and then be able to do what they love. Because I think you're right. Right now is a time where people are really taking some evaluation and realizing, like, I don't do what I want to do. I don't want to go back to that. And I think that's really awesome, because I think when we, that saying of, do what you love and you'll never work a day in your life, or, and it's so true. Work, but there's so much truth to it, because I get so excited to go to work, and it's so rewarding when you have these clients that are just so awesome to work with. And so I just think there's a lot there that when you can find your passion and work for it, whether, you have to start it as a hobby or you start it as a side hustle, a lot of businesses can be started that way. But the key is investing in yourself and believing in yourself, because you really you got to take the leap,
I love it. So let me ask you this final question. Okay, here it is. By this being a purpose-driven show.
Oh no, I lost you. I don't know if you're still there. Well, okay, so Ruby, if you can still hear me, can you let me know? Because I think I lost CaSaundra entirely. There you are. I'm just trying to run one.
Hey, you did great. I don't know what that was, except for maybe tech demons. I don't know what that was, okay? But I am back, and I was just about to ask you one of the important questions of this show, which is, in your heart, do you know that you're living your purpose?
Yeah, I know that I'm in the right direction, I guess is probably what I should say. I still think there's something bigger than where I'm at, and I think coaching is getting me onto the right path for that, and connecting me with more of the right people. The nonprofit end of it has been a really big thing for me for a really long time. I myself was a Shriners kid for 16 years. And
really?
It's really something that's always been a really big part of what drives me, finding a way to do something that I can give back to, give to, whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Give back, give to.
Something, because I'm so grateful that I had that. And so I'd really like to find a way to do that. And I do feel like I'm on the right path and I'm connecting with the right people. So I do think, yes, I am living in the purpose. I still think that there's still more to come.
Well, you know what? I'm glad you said that, because purpose is progressive. It doesn't mean sometimes people think it's just this one thing for the rest of their life, but purpose is fluid. It builds upon, it expands. So yes, you are going to do some amazing work, and you're living this part of your aspect of your purpose out. And I think it's fabulous and phenomenal that you're doing that. You're doing what you love. You're making a difference. You're making an impact, and it just feels. How many of us can say that they go to work every day and do what they love? I'm not good at math, I'm really not good at math, but I would think it's probably less than 1%, whatever that is. That's most people aren't doing what they love, but it's just that small percentage. You know, I may be a little extreme there, but I know there's a small percentage of people on the planet that are doing what they love and being compensated handsomely for it. And there's so many other benefits that come for that. So wow, Arica, this has been a great interview. I'm so glad you came and shared your story, your journey. There are things we all can learn from it. Will you come back again on the CaSaundra Jolliff Show? Okay, I was like, wait for it. Awesome sauce. Well, thank you so much. She shared with you how you can she can be how you can get a hold of her. And then thank you, Ravishing Ruby, for saying, I'm glad I came to watch. I'll be contacting you about our center's open house whenever it happens. Awesome. Oh, thank you, Lord. I love those divine connections. I just love it. Well, those of you who are watching the replay, thank you so much. Do me a super fave. Make sure you share this broadcast. Make sure you get it out. Get it out, because I can guarantee you there's somebody who's waiting to hear what Arica has shared. And that's going to help them take their life in the right direction, if that's not you. Make sure you share. Okay, so as always, guys, have a significant success on purpose, and stay tuned. There might be some special editions coming this weekend on the CaSaundra Jolliff Show, and so I'll be making some announcement about that. But until then, I'll see you guys next week. Thank you so much, Arica.
Thank you.
Thank you. Grace and peace.